Spook.
Yes.
With that victory against Carlton, we're only now one win behind them on a head-to-head.
Just one win. Maybe we can get them on the next game.
Unfortunately, we don't play them again in the home and away season this year.
Oh. Well, maybe we can get them in the finals.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am... Stick it up, you clucker, Carlton! Spook.
So we've a few days ago we beat Carlton.
Just a few days ago.
Just a few days ago. Really tough game.
It was tough to watch.
It was tough to play also, apparently.
I wouldn't know that. I didn't play in it.
Oh, they wanted me in there, but...
Not to be.
Not to be. So what did you think about the game?
It was bloody terrible.
And?
Apart from the last 5 minutes, which was bloody good. So you got your yin and your yangs, except the yang was this big and the yin was this big.
Yep. Yeah, it was really, it reminded me a lot of last year. Last year Carlton lost the Fremantle here, they got smashed, and then they had to, atone, and they came out against us and they played a really good game, and they still lost. But this year, lost to North, got smashed, so you knew they were going to come out firing. They had their 79 premiership team in attendance.
Did they?
Yes.
79 premiership teams?
Yeah, they were sitting on the boundary.
In the big parade?
Just outside the boundary. Yeah, so you knew they were going to come out fired up. They obviously lift for us because that rivalry...
The rivalry?
Like many teams, it's their grand final when they play us.
Why? Does it guarantee them a win?
Yes, it guarantees them 4 points. And they probably thought, well, this is the game we're going to hang our season on.
This is it.
This is the statement game for us. And let's show everybody who's been criticising us, we're not as bad as you think.
Oh, I think we're as bad as they think.
I think they're right. They're not as bad as most people criticise them. I think they got a really good core talent, got some good key forwards, got some good peripheral players. Cripps is fucking amazing.
Off the planet, that boy.
I rate him the best player in the league.
I thought I was the best player in the league.
In the AFL league.
Oh, we're not talking the video game.
No. Yeah. So they came out hard, and this is the sort of game where I thought, you know what, nothing's gone right for us. Beams, late withdrawal. Treloar was rumoured to possibly be a late withdrawal with a cold. Whenever somebody has a virus, like I always worry because these people train together, so
they shower together.
They do team meetings together, so it's likely that other people are going to pick it up also. So he could have possibly been out. So it was like we'd been up for a little while. You can't be forgiven for having a bad one, but you could expect.
I couldn't forgive them.
Yeah,
not in this instance.
And not a lot seemed to work. Carlton applied a lot of pressure. They were frenetic. And we, unfortunately, as you pointed out during the game, just reverted to that lack of composure. Panic handballs, millionaire globe-trotting stuff to try and get out of traffic. And then when we had a chance to go forward, we just bombed.
You know you're travelling badly when Carlton's ball use looks phenomenal.
It really sort of, to me, was shaping for a sort of game where we would have had more opportunities than them and we would have blown it. If you look at the stats, most of them are relatively even.
Okay, let's look at them.
Okay, I'll look at them. Kicks 237 to 207.
That's very even.
In our favour. Marks 15 to 10 in our favour. Hit outs 50 to 26, I'll get back to those. Mm-hmm. Inside 50s 69 to 43, which is 26.
And that was just in the last 5 minutes.
But 26 discrepancy, but inside the fourth quarter, inside 50s were 26 to 5 our way, and they kicked 3-1 to our 7-1.
Oh, we must have won then.
We did win.
Good.
To me, we need to start learning to play smarter. There's still too much really just relying on Tifu. Pendle showed some composure. A lot of other people just really, it's almost like they're doing training drills where they're trying tricks, and it's not paying off in the pressure of the game.
You still get the sense that there's no great plan B or C when teams really flood back and pressure us and close down those spots.
Well, that goes down to I think their plan B is to start chipping around. The problem is they don't really have a lot of surgical kicks like Hawthorn, which we talked about last week. And You can find. I mean, they did it again yesterday. They did it again during this game, where I thought a few times they chip, and they just ended up 40 metres further back with no great strategy as to why they chipped there. It was just, we're going to chip. Whereas with Hawthorn, they will chip, but they will surgically incise their way through zones or man on man.
Surgically incise. There should be a stat for that.
Yep. But they'll actually gain distance or position and stuff like that. And we just don't do that enough. We did it against Richmond because Richmond dropped back and they allowed us to get those cheap kicks so we could move forward. Other teams, and this happened in the grand final, press, and then when we're chipping, we just actually fall back and we fall back and we fall back. And then we're like, okay, we're now 50 metres behind where we started with the ball. We're still no way out of here.
We're one possession closer to a turnover.
Yep. And so that, and we probably have too many unreliable kicks still. So that, to me, is really worrisome. Grundy.
Yes?
Your name's like Grundy?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so you pointed out only 2 players have had 45 hitouts, 25 disposals and 2 goals in the game. That's Brodie Grundy and
Jared Blair.
And just behind Larry, former Carlton great legend John Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
But with Grundy, how many of those tap-outs are going to anybody who's moving with the ball or to any sort of advantage?
I love Grundy and I think he's a wonderful player, but that's my one little sort of nagging concern. And you saw it a lot during the game that as much as he was dominating the hit-outs, every time he did that and the ball went in out of the side of the TV came Cripps.
Yep. And that was what really annoyed me.
And sorry, it's just I don't see ever a sort of an effective hit-out stat. And I don't want to belittle his game or anything by any stretch of the imagination. They're great numbers, it was a great performance. It's just an element of improvement that I'd love to see to him, that those hit-outs go somewhere to a teammate, more often than they do.
And the thing with Grundy is I notice he has a proclivity to tap just straight down. And Cripps just started reading it and streaming past and taking it. And he was moving, and the way he was moving, he had serious momentum, he's got size. Nobody was going to stop him. Now, when that happened a couple of times, it was like, all right, learn from this. Not just Grundy, but the other mids. You're going to need to learn from this and change up what's happening, because Cripps is now reading your ruckman better than you're reading your ruckman. So either Grundy needed to just start smashing it like Cripps was running for. Cripps was moving before the tap. He was reading it. He knew, because the way the game was going, the tap outs were like 50 to 25 or whatever. So he knew Grundy was likely to win a tap out.
Do you know who does that well from us? Jordan
Goey, yeah, and he does that. And we talked about this a while ago. De Goey and Adams, to a lesser extent, they're moving. And again, we get these stationary targets. They're just standing there and going, okay, got it, handball, 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 I'm out now. Whereas Cripps is like, I'm moving. You can't stop me. Jordan De Goey does that. So Grundy and the mids need to start devising a better strategy as to getting us clearances, because for this much vaunted midfield, we still don't win clearances.
No, we get smashed more often than not.
And you'd think, all right, you got the dominant ruckman in the league now. Surely you can devise a strategy where he's tapping it to whoever it's going to be, whoever's assigned, and that guy is running with some momentum, and the other mids are now covering defensively for in case we do lose the ball. But surely, given the advantage we have of that ruck dominance, we should be able to capitalise on tap-outs.
Totally agree. Get it fixed.
Instead of just tapping down. And we're seeing games. Grand final is a really good example. The previous time, or last time we played West Coast, again, we won the tap outs, but they benefited from, our ruckman. So that really annoyed me to the shit. Grundy, Pendles, Phillips.
Well, that sounds like a band.
Yeah. They were consistently our best. Other players flashed in and out. Phillips burnt it a little bit, which we'll get to in a second. Callum Brown.
Ooh, he's fast becoming a favourite of mine. Tenacity, drive. I don't think you can undersell the importance of that little goal with about, was it 3 or 4 minutes to go? Put us back in the lead by a point, but it was just a really crucial moment. That beautiful little, there's an opening there, I'm going for it. Dribble, kick.
When he doesn't have time to think, his instinctive goals are brilliant. And, we saw... He did the snap also, he did the snap against Geelong, he did that one against Brisbane where he ran back in. I think you were calling it Judd-like, that goal.
That wasn't me.
Well, some of the boys...
He'd have to improve to be, or Judd would have had to improve to be Brown-like.
So Callum is great, and we've said this before, he's great at creating. Like Taylor Adams, De Goey, they don't just get the ball. Chris Mayne, you're back on notice now, but for the little handballs. that just go nowhere. He did this great play.
You can loosely forgive him. He was in a wheelchair about 2 minutes ago.
Thank you, so still side bottom. Good work.
He tried to kill him again.
Another effective kick.
Only side bottom could do that.
There was a great play on the half forward where...
Was there?
I think it was 1-on-2 and Main won it. And instead of just sort of driving it deep forward, he then turned around and did like a little handle. It just killed all momentum. Callum Brown gets the ball, he'll look, but when he's got the opportunity, or even if he doesn't have the opportunity, he'll try and create the opportunity and run and break open zones and get players moving and all that sort of stuff. And he does that really well. Again, still concerned about the size. He's a small guy against mids now where you get like guys like Cripps, the goalie, who are just physically they're beasts. So, and the reason we lost, Scott Pendlebury said it, the reason we lost 2-11 grand final is we couldn't compete against the bigger bodies of Geelong.
I thought you were going to say because we didn't have Callum Brown.
Well, maybe not. But it's something to be aware of, Bones, bulletin board, mentioned this, Elliott's small, Josh Thomas is small, but they're playing forward where they're leading. They're not actually having to go in packs and win they can, but, generally their game is, I've got to lead, win the ball, or I'm going to crumb, stay outside the pack. Callum's job is, I've got to get inside the pack and get the ball and work my way out. So that's my one concern about that size. He's got sure hands, he's got creativity, which is great.
I think he's trending like this, though. So
he is trending really well. Rupert Wells. He might keep Dane Beams out.
I doubt it.
He might.
I doubt it.
He might. Rupert Wells.
Well, he was allegedly tagging Cripps in the first quarter. That's what the commentators were saying when Hutto wasn't barracking for the Blues endlessly. But he kept him to 5 touches and fairly quiet in the first quarter, and then I'm not sure what happened after that because Cripps exploded. And that could be just natural talent, but I'm not sure what I did after that.
Don't know when you play select Levi Greenwood, who's the specialist tagger, why you don't use him on the key midfielder from the opposition side.
Logic. The man's talking logic.
I'm not sure why Levi Greenwood instead ends up on full back on Jack Silvani.
Well, he's a dangerous forward.
And the guy who hasn't played a game for 2 years in Rupert Wells gets the job on one of the best players in the league. Maybe the point was, well, I'll play him on Cripps and Cripps will run into the ball and, he'll learn a bit. But I didn't think that was a really... I actually thought some of the moves, some of the matchups weren't great. Wills, I'd still like to see him get a shot at it. I don't know if he will. He did have a pretty... Quiet. I don't know if quiet's right. He still had like about 20 touches. He had like a bland game. He didn't really do anything too horrific. He didn't do anything too great. Darcy Moore, let me ask you this. What's the best way of using him in defence?
Any way he wants.
I'm sort of subscribe more to the way Kevin Cheetah used Dustin Fletcher, Geelong used Matthew Scarlett, Essendon used... I said Dustin Fletcher already. I can't remember the next time. Josh Gibson from Hawthorn is... Do you want to play him on the best forward? Or do you want to give that job to someone else and then give more the responsibility of being the cut-off guy?
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I think the matchup with Curnow, it's very like for like, and I think we were talking about it before, who you thought won that contest. So Curnow was kept to, 2 goals, we think?
Yep.
We should really probably do some research before we do this rubbish. But I think at the end of the day, it was almost like they broke even, and so maybe that then... That's a negating influence, but a positive one at the same time in terms of he was still creative enough to get away as his want was. So I think look, I liked what I saw on the day.
Yeah, I just wonder if you get more out of him, and the team gets more out of him. Sorry, I'm not that bright. You get more out of him just actually playing him, or trying to play him as that loose man. It was like Essendon. Dustin Fletcher was rated this great fullback. I think 98% of the time he played as a halfback. He got put on like the 6th best forward, but then they got to use his rebound, his intercepting and all that sort of stuff, and that's why he was regarded as brilliant. Now if the side got hold of Essendon, then Fletcher got moved on to that forward. I just wonder if more might be better used in that capacity. But then again, still with the way that defence is knitted, maybe you just say, you know what, we'll start Howe on Curnow, for example, and if it doesn't work out, then we can actually move it around. I mean, you think there'd be a bit of juggling. There seems to be a bit more capacity for diversity in the way they set up. Instead, it seems already set up. It's like Moore goes to the best forward, Ruffhead goes to the biggest, and all that sort of stuff. And they're relying on Howe and Langdon. And Langdon seems to have gotten lost a little bit in terms of his intercept marking since...
Moore's doing it all?
Yep. Anyway, Real interesting, you brought this up, Jamie Elliott. The perception of him would be he's having a quietish year.
Well, this is on the back of today's hamstrings troubles are back, or we're not sure how bad. We're told that it's precautionary. There was no tear. It's tightness. So it sort of starts questioning about, okay, well, let's go worst case scenario. He's out for 16 years.
Yep. But hang on, before we go into that, because we'll talk about that for selections.
Yeah. So at the moment, where do we rate his performance on what we've seen this year? So the numbers say...
Okay, so numbers are... So I compared his season with his career numbers. So season, 8 kicks, average, career 9. Handballs, 3.1, career 4.2. Marks, 5.1 versus 5.2. Goals, he's averaged 1.7 this year compared to 1.6 in his career. Behinds, 0.7 to 0.8. Goal assists is 13 this year. 1.3 this year. Total of 9. His career is 0.6, so his goal assists are actually higher up.
Yeah, and that would have been my perception too, that he's contributing more than just kicking through the big sticks. Yep,
tackles, 2.1 to 3.1. So it's all pretty even throughout. You do get that feeling that he's not flying as high, but maybe that's because he's literally not flying as high. He's not doing that spectacular stuff as much, and he's doing
a lot. It's a bit hard when you've been rebuilt from spare parts.
Yeah, I mean, and then because I was looking up Elliott, I started looking through stats in general. So this is really interesting. Goal assists, Stevenson is 5th with 10 in the league. This is in the whole league, and Elliott is 7th with 9. So he's actually 7th in the league, which is really good. This one is really interesting. Disposal efficiency. Jordan Roughhead is 6th with 91%.
Oh, he's good, isn't he?
Of the 5 above him, 4 have played only 2 games. Qualification was 2 games. The guy who's played 6 games is skilled as Nathan Brown. He's 4th on 94%. As I said with Jordan Roughhead, though, my query with his disposal is he tends to do the safe, I'll just go sideways rather than Well,
he does a good 91% of the time.
Yeah, well, Lyndon Dunn would go, I'll go for that long kick now. Clangers. Who would you guess is our highest ranked Clanger King?
Langer?
Treloar in 6th spot on 39. Ian Grundy is 13th spot on 35. Tom Phillips 28th spot with 29. Jordan the Guy 41st. Turnovers. Who would be our biggest turnover king?
Side bottom.
Tom Phillips is 7th with 46, and he had 6 against...
Did I say side bottom out loud then?
Yeah.
I meant to say Phillips.
He had 6 against Carlton.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Treloar... Sorry. Guess who's our highest tackles? Treloar, 28th spot with 38 tackles. Maynard, 40.
Hang on, I know this one.
With 33 tackles. Inside 50s, Scott Pendlebury is in 3rd spot with 49. 5 behind leader Dane Zorko on 54. So I just thought that was some interesting stats.
Interesting.
I tend to go off about umpires a lot, and it would be remiss of me not to mention this, and we did talk about stats and disparities before.
Is this about Rampy and the goalpost?
No, we're going to get to that in a bit. Game ended up with 24 free kicks to us to 8 to Carlton. Now, look, I think that's a disgrace.
Free kick Collingwood.
What sort of league is the competition running where Carlton can end up with 8 free kicks?
Oh, no, it's farcical.
It's a joke.
What were you thinking? That's fucking joke.
What did you think about the umpiring watching the game?
It didn't stand out to me, and so those numbers at the end were coming to a bit of a surprise, but nothing really looked like it was left of centre.
I think there's a few, and they went both ways. The holding the balls, they just let go.
Yeah, but that's part of
it. The point I made with the free kicks to somebody else talking about is I always judge how bad the umpiring is by the crowd's reaction, and I didn't really hear Carlton's fans boo or give Bronx cheers or stuff like that. So to me that sort of meant it didn't really stand out, and there was a few frees toward the end of the game when it was close, and I think it was 1 goal up at the stage, and I can't remember the Carlton play, but he dived and took Josh Thomas's legs out and totally incapacitated for the next 5 minutes. And that's one where I think that's what that rule's been designed for. That specific instant. That's the textbook. No free. So, I mean, that to me was like one where you think, oh, you talk about instrumental frees, and that's one where you should be paying. The Carlton guy didn't win the ball or anything. It just was a clear chop of the legs, which could have broken some bones. But no, that was okay.
Working well.
Any final thoughts about this game over the old enemy?
I have a very special reserved hatred of Carlton. I don't think I was particularly rational during the game. I was angry through it. There's just something about I can tolerate losing. I just can't tolerate losing to them.
I can't tolerate losing at all. You see me.
And it's an interesting thing these days about how much the rivalry just doesn't feel like it exists. Yet our generation and the ones behind us, and I don't know whether someone half our age, which we got about 12, would be as passionately invested in the loss, though. Santiago, he's posted on Facebook that his son burst into tears because we're going to lose to Carlton, and that's how you pass the baton on. I would have been feral beyond belief if we did lose this. Would have been a completely different rant, but we won, so yeah.
It is an amazing thing that, like, when you lose, particularly when you lose early in the week, and I know it wasn't that early Saturday.
But when you lose Tuesdays.
Yeah, when you lose on the Friday night specifically, but you know.
Well, I think up your weekend.
Yeah, and it does. You just feel like shit. When you lose like Sunday twilight, it's like, okay, I can get away with this. It's just get straight into the next week. But it really makes you feel like shit, and everything just loses its luster. And I thought it was a great win, given they were really up and running, and Cripps played an amazing game. He tried to haul them over the line, and we just didn't have a lot of things working right. We only had a handful of players who were consistent contributors. We're inaccurate yet again, sprayed the ball, wasted it, and all that sort of stuff. And when it really push came to shove, we found a way to win.
Yeah,
and win relatively convincingly.
If you had to give credit to Carlton, they were very, very good.
They would have been in most teams the way they played.
They just that inexperience. They just don't know how to win games yet, like that. And we, to our credit, ran miles over the top of them, which was a great relief to the viewing public.
I think their effort was epitomised by that last or second last goal to Tom Phillips, where Wiedering came out and just turned it over straight to Tom Phillips. And that was like, just lacked a bit of experience because he had players on the inside. I think he had Cruiser and Cripps, and instead he went out wide, miskicked it, kicked it straight back to Collingwood, and that's just sort of going to come with experience.
And it really shows with a side like that generally loses more often than not. That fine line between being so pumped by your performance and positive you're going to win, how quickly that can be broken by the game just being wrestled out of your grasp at the last second. They shat themselves, I think, being polite, but and when we went up 10 cogs too at the same time, so.
But that's probably what helps you get those opportunistic goals, like Callum Brown did that beautiful, rove and kicked it low.
The goalie opportunistic soccer.
And those are sort of ones that really heartbreak, and you think, well, you can't really defend against those. You've done everything right to that point, and they've still managed to get goals. They're really 50-50 propositions whether you get a goal.
The Bucks said post-match that really is a sort of, it does demonstrate that desire to win. At that type of game, there's nothing you can do in the coach's box to influence it. It just comes down to who wants to win this the most. And clearly we did.
And it's great because we've done it against Carlton, we've done it against Essendon. So
can we do it in the grand final?
That's what was my point. Can we? No. Anyway, we'll be back with Media and the Fittick.
Oh, good. What's happened this week? Much?
Nothing.
Oh, it should be quick then. Okay.
Welcome back. It is time for Media and the Fittick. Bastion of football has died. The footy show has finally gotten the chop.
Yes, comes as no surprise. I think as who's that guy, that funny guy on Twitter, the Melbourne guy, whatever his name is, Titus O'Reilly. He came out and said that he was more surprised to find out the show was still on, which wasn't a bad little line. Yeah, look, it's we can't bag it because Eddie said we're not allowed to, but geez, it had died a long time before this season.
I think when they appointed Craig Hutchinson to host it, I thought they were trying to kill it. I forgot.
It must be a surprise when you flush the toilet and a giant turd jumps out at you.
After Eddie left, I know there's people who don't like Eddie. He has his critics, but I think Eddie's a really good host. He's a really good front man. And then they went to the joint Gary Lyon,
Chiefs of Shaft,
James
Brayshaw.
Brayshaw.
Yeah.
And I just thought they were both terrible.
They thought they were good. A bit like us.
Sorry, I forgot her name.
Rebecca De Mornay.
No, it wasn't her.
Rebecca Madden.
Yes. She was Johnny Carson compared to every other single host they got.
Slightly better looking.
She was a great host. She actually was natural and fluent compared to Brayshaw and Craig Hutchinson. It was like, well, then again, you know, this teddy bear could have hosted better than Craig Hutchinson.
He's got a lot more presence.
I thought she was really good. She seemed like a natural, but the way they shaped that show, it felt to me as it went on, it lost that spontaneity. Everything that was meant to be spontaneous was totally scripted, and nothing felt like it was raw and energetic anymore. It just felt like this is so rehearsed, and
you'd hate to say in this day and age where you've taken that need to be inclusive and diverse and then watch your show die pretty quick, and yet on the opposite channel some boring old guys who love football are rating their ass off. What does the public want?
And I think footy show was dying well before.
No, the point stands.
Fights to football. So there's fights at Collingwood Carlton. What would you do about fighting at the football?
I'd run away because I'm a coward.
What would you do about trying to stop fights at the football?
I'd still run away.
I know you don't want to give away your secret identity as Batman. How would you try and curb fighting at the football?
Oh, how do you stop it?
I mean, people say alcohol bans, but you know, there's
I think
tens of thousands of people drinking who aren't.
There is a massive...
Except at Hawthorn GWS games where there's tens of
There's a very highly elevated tension at a Collingwood Carlton game. There's a very tribal following of these two clubs. I don't think I've ever not been, and this is going back to the 1800s when I was a kid, have not gone to a Carlton Collingwood game and there's been punch-ons after the game.
Yeah, but that's not.
I don't make it. No, it's not right. But it's just always been there, and it's not going to just go away because someone says.
How would you punish the offenders?
I'd make them watch every Carlton game for the rest of the year.
Well, that's like the Melbourne supporter who hit the disabled Hawthorn supporter, and they're saying give him a life ban. The Melbourne supporter is like, well, isn't that actually helping him?
We can't make fun of that. Though. I refuse to get drawn into this joke.
Just making fun of Melbourne in general. I would put catapults under each chair, and the moment you saw someone starting to get agitated, I would just push the button and just catapult them out of the ground.
Interesting. What happens there? We've got that birds netting up there. They'll just bounce back to their seat.
Or get sliced. Dane Rampy. I was calling him Rampkey. Rampkey.
Rampkey.
Climbing the post. Should have it been a free?
No, because that meant Essendon would have won. Yeah. End of discussion.
Okay. That Bastion. Mark Robinson. He called out wondering if this would have been an issue if it was anyone other than Essendon on the receiving end.
I think he has a particular horse to whip there.
Really? What would that be?
His favourite club. Look, I don't think he would have been jumping up and down if it had happened to St Kilda or us. He would have probably actually said that it should be a rule that's implemented if it happened to us that you can shake the post. But no, he's just jumping to the defence of his boys as he often does.
Well, I mean, I don't think it should have been a free. I mean, I think they applied some common sense. Just said get down. You know, if the ball was in motion, I might have penalised him. But
what about calling the umpire? Or was he?
You said
talks like a big girl.
Little girl. Well, he got fined for that, so that's fine.
It is a fine.
It is a fine. So, I think the bigger issue is Dane Rampy's moustache.
I thought it was funny at the time, but that's probably wrong these days.
It probably is. Actually, I'll go to this. Do you realise Damien Barrett is still defending his blast of Luke Hodge?
I thought you were about to say, do you realise that Damien Barrett is still writing journalistic articles? That would have been more shocking. So what was your question?
Well, I don't think he's writing journalistic articles. I think he's writing articles.
Shit, mate.
I saw Patrick Dangerfield taking the task on some radio station, I don't know, about Barrett having a dig at Hodge. And Barrett now has totally shifted the context. Whereas, Hodge, when you're doing this, you're getting paid and concentrating on football. Barrett is now saying, oh, well, I don't really think they get a lot out of these in-game interviews, so why do them? And it's like, well, hang on, well, you can't blame Hodge for that because he's been asked to do it by the network, asked the club, and the club's asked him. So that's got nothing to do with your original insult or sorry. Didn't say insult. Condemnation. Sorry, I didn't say condemnation. Criticism.
We can edit all that out.
No, I
You can
just,
say anything afterwards.
I just found it interesting that Barrett is still trying to defend himself, and Dangerfield just said to him, well, if you're having a shot at Hodge, the younger players who don't have Hodge's stature are just going to go, well, should I be doing this? I'm going to get attacked. I mean, this is the media wants all this access, and the players, I mean, Hodge didn't go to the network and say, interview me during the game. They came to him. So I don't know what Barrett's criticism is. There is a new hashtag.
Is there?
Hashtag free kick Collingwood.
Oh, it's about time.
It's about fucking time.
Alright, what else you got?
That's it.
Oh, that was good.
Yep.
Let's wrap this sucker up.
Let's wrap this free kick up. We'll be back with the match preview.
Beautiful.
We're back with the match preview.
That was quick.
That was really quick. It's almost like we're running out of battery power or something.
let's talk quick.
You're like the robot in Lost in Space. You got another power pack?
No, I'll just slump to the side.
Jamie Elliott is out with a hamstring concern.
You heard it last here on the rant.
I think you heard it last somewhere else, and now you've heard it after last.
Well, it's not a hamstring, it's a tightness. It's a tightness of the hamstring. It's not a tear, it's tightness.
Do you really feel he can be managed through tightness, or do you feel they should just say, you know what, fuck it, go for it? If you break down, then that just tells us.
I think you treat him with cotton wool because of what happened last year. I think they're just erring on the side of caution. Give him a week off. It's not a bad thing, though, to start resting some of these guys, I think, at any rate. We're going to have to rotate. There's quite a few decent names on the sidelines. You've got to get him back into the side.
So you think he smells?
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
You said they're erring on the side of caution. Chris Mayne is concussed.
Yeah, thanks, Sidey.
Yeah,
what else you got?
If anyone saw him in the team song after the game, I think there's very little chance he'll play.
Is he singing the Freo song?
He had no idea. His face was just totally bamboozled.
I think he looks like that most of the time.
Well, you know, he's at Collingwood. Most players are bamboozled. Dane Beams missed the win over Carlton due to hip soreness. Coxie and Beams and Aish all have a chance to return.
Yep.
They've all been out, or Beams been out for 1 week, Cox and Aish have been out for a couple of weeks. Braden Sire returned from an injury with an impressive performance in the VFL Players lost to Sandringham. We lost by a point or something apparently.
Was it the grand final?
No.
No.
We won't get to a grand final.
Why didn't they have a bye this week, the VFL?
It was the week before.
I know, but do they have one every week?
No, it's every second week.
No.
He finished the game with 21 disposal, 3 tackles and a goal, so Sai actually had a pretty good game.
Good on him. Get back in the side.
Travis Varco, he ended up playing the VFL Pies narrow last, I can't speak. Was among the team's best players, finishing with 13 disposals and 2 goals. 2 goals, that's what we want you to kick more of. Less, well, actually you can still be angry and run around bumping players and tackling them and trying to clip Selwood in the head, but add a few goals to that. That would be really good.
That's
I'd
your
love
goal.
to see you back. Yes, that's your goals. And Isaac Quaynor, named amongst the best, finished with 25 disposals and 5 tackles.
Still early days. I don't know whether you'd bring him in.
So Elliott is definitely out.
Yep. Reid will be going out.
So Reid, you think will definitely be out?
No, if Cox is fresh, then
Do you
definitely.
think there's a risk they will be insane enough to say Elliott is out, let's play Cox, Reid and Myercheck in the same forward line?
Surely not.
It is Collingwood.
It'd be like watching a glacier move across the goal face. I'm pretty certain there'd be a big steamship heading towards it.
So you're going to go on record and say there's no way I'll do that?
No fucking way.
I know how
So, lock it in.
I know how that we're opening next week. So Elliott is definitely out, and I think Mayne won't play.
Yeah, every chance.
So Beams probably is likely to come
Correct.
back in for Mayne. Who would you bring in for Elliott? Would you bring Daniel Wells in?
No, I don't know. Possibly. I don't want to make this a... Is it? It's not Indigenous round, is it? It's. I terribly do not want to make this a racial thing. But that, I think, will be the time that either Varks or Wells will get a crack. And that's not this is all sounding wrong, so I'm going to move on really quick from it. But I think that'll be the opportune time to do it.
Can you explain it again to me? Why you think they still will be selected?
I'm not a racist, but no, I just think because they did an advert with them wearing the jumpers on.
Oh, okay. So who'll come in? Would you give Josh Dacos a run?
I was thinking Dacos. I think Varks is probably the likely one. I don't think you're going to give Quaynor a bit of a rush in. I'd love to see Sire come back in, but I think he'll be another week or two
Well,
away.
Quaynor, fortunately, whichever way you look at it, he's competing for a spot where we tend to have that pretty well locked down, and Aish is probably still ahead of him in getting his spot back. So you got, Aish, Langdon, Maynard, and Crisp who play those sort of smalls, and then you have Howe, Roughhead, and Darcy Moore. So you got like 7 players already who are controlling that defensive part or defensive third. So Quaynor's really going to have to do something quite good to push one of them out, or we're going to have to get injuries. So
there's still plenty of time of training for that to happen.
If Quaynor was come in and we didn't have injuries, then you'd have to think Maynard.
It had to be, because he's playing predominantly as a running defender, isn't he?
So one of them would have to get pushed up like to a wing or to a midfield. I think Crisp has probably become too important to that defensive 50. I think Maynard has greater capacity to play as an on-baller. But it is one of those things like when they moved Heath Shaw, and I did say it at the time with Heath Shaw, like I actually wanted them to move him as a mid. And then once he started playing as a mid, it was like, okay, you can now move him back. But it'll be interesting to see Maynard because he has a great physicality, has a really good raking kick.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. Big booming kick.
Yep. I don't know what Quaynor's kicking is like. Crisp has been a little bit quiet. A little bit. Anyway, so who would you play?
As I said before, I think that'd be my changes. So Cox in for Reid, probably Barks in for Elliott, and Beams comes in for Main.
That sounds good to me.
Yep, I think that'll be it.
What are your thoughts about playing St Kilda? They've been on a bit of a downer. They're still competitive, but they have lost lately.
The trouble is that you go into each week thinking we're due for a loss. I hope it's not this week. I think we'll win, and we should win by about 88 points.
Well, the results last week, there's been a log jam in terms of, everyone under Geelong. Geelong's been one game clear. And last week actually gave us some separation on everyone else. So Geelong's now on 28 points, we're on 24. And then GWS, because they lost to Hawthorn, they're now on 20. And then everyone's... So we're actually one game clear now. Mm-hmm. So this is the time to really consolidate with.
Yep, great.
Vastly winnable games over the next month. They're games...
Vastly winnable games.
Vastly, yeah. He'll kick 28 goals.
Good on him.
So I know that fear that we could drop one, but these are the games that you're thinking, like the Carlton game, we've shown, hey, we don't have to play at our best to win. We just need to keep in there and to persevere. So your tip?
88 points, and the camera's just gone off.
Has it? Now it's gone off.
Keep going.
I would tip. This is time to take time. Okay, I'll tip Collingwood by 42 points.
42?
42.
That's almost double what I picked.
Yeah, it is almost half what you picked. So that's my tip. Thanks for watching us.
No, not right now.
Yep. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I'm pointing at it right now.
He means the link.
Yeah. And leave some comments. Like us on our Facebook page, and feel free to hit us up with any questions.
Or if you see us in real life, just feel free to hit us.
Or buy me a beer. But if we've lost the game, it's probably best to give us a wide berth. I don't know.
Or buy us 2 beers.
Yeah, actually just buy us 2 beers. And I'm throwing my paper at the camera.
And today he hits it. You wouldn't believe it.
I tipped it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Well, hopefully you'll see something next week.
Later.
Bye.